Thousands call for The View to be canceled after Joy Behar makes vile comments about Trump. Joy Behar and her fellow liberals are constantly talking about how, quote, racist Donald Trump is, despite the fact that they are never able to cite any clear evidence of this. However, when proud liberal Bill Maher used the N-word last week, Behar made excuses for him as she adamantly continued to claim that Trump's, quote, racism is worse. During The View's Monday episode, the women discussed the backlash Maher faced after referring to himself as a house blank. The Blaze reported that Behar defended Maher, calling him one of the good guys in the, quote, fight against Trump. Co-host Whoopi Goldberg agreed with Behar, saying that she has very specific feelings about the word, and noted that Maher didn't refer to anyone else but himself when he used the racial epithet. After co-host Sunny Hostin tried to chastise Maher a little bit, Behar jumped back in to change the subject. Bill Maher is one of the good guys in this fight against Trump right now, Behar began, not to deflect from what he said, because he already apologized, but Donald Trump and his people that ran his real estate agent, sick. They actually practiced racism. They discriminated against black people in housing, she continued, not offering any evidence to support this. To me, that is a much more egregious sin than saying any kind of word. Let's not lose perspective about comedians and words and things that comedians are saying, because there seems to be this assault on comedians. Had Maher been a conservative Trump supporter, Behar and her liberal friends on The View would have demanded his head on a platter and would not have rested until his career was destroyed. However, since he was a liberal, he is being given a free pass to use the N-word as a white person. Behar's absurd comment has caused thousands of angry patriots to call for The View to be permanently canceled. A petition on change.org called Cancel the View already has well over 30,000 signatures and growing. Trump supporters are tired of being slandered and kicked around, and now they're fighting back. Well, I'm certainly going to sign that, that's for sure, unless they change the narrative, continuous bashing of Trump. Bill Maher apologizes for offensive words.
On the heels of Kathy Griffin, the latest comic to sort of step in it with both feet is Bill Maher. For this off-the-cuff remark on Real Time, take a look.
Well, adults dress up for Halloween. They don't do that in Nebraska?
It's frowned upon. Yeah, we don't do that quite as much. But
wow, I've got to get to Nebraska more.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the fields?
That's part of that.
Senator, I'm a house. No, it's a joke.
So Maher quickly apologized, saying the word was offensive and he regrets saying it. But people are calling for HBO to drop him from the lineup. Well, you know, this is the world we're in.
Yeah.
You step in it, you make a mistake, it's like, off with your head.
Well, what do you think about it? What do you think?
Listen, you know what? I have very specific feelings about the word. I think that the more power you give the word, he didn't call anybody, he called himself, which I always think is a good idea, because you should know that the word affects everybody. You are one as well. When you look it up, it's like, you know, depending on which dictionary you look at.
Well, when you say it, well, the way you're saying it shows you that you're empathizing with possibly that person.
I don't know. I just think that it's a word that has way too much power, and we've given it way too much power because it's had the ability to stop us in our tracks. And as I always say, young people kind of say, listen, we've taken it in a different direction. But that's just me, you know, but I know that this one whose face is like this.
She's got the happening.
Yes, you know, she has a different
face that I don't even know is happening.
But she has a different response because of how she was raised.
I was raised in a way, you know, I use my father as my beacon for so many things. And he told me a story about how he was with my mom in Georgia and the KKK ran them out. And my uncle, who was in the army, had to stand in front of the home that they were in with a shotgun because they were threatened to kill that N-word that was in the house. And my father recounted that story to me with tears in his eyes, and he said, that is an evil, ugly, nasty word, and we are never going to use it in this house. You will never use it, and your children should never use it. And I have never uttered the word in my 48 years of living. And I don't think anyone should use it. I think it's time to retire that word. It comes from such a painful time, and I understand the argument that young people have reclaimed it, but I almost feel like
retire it. You understand that the word is in the lexicon, so
it is in the lexicon. I just hope that. I don't like the argument that, you know, well, white people can't use it, but we can use it, because what happens is you hear it used in music all the time, and so then when the white kid is listening to the music and saying the lyrics, you know, how do you justify that? I just think it's time for everyone just to.
But Bill Maher is one of the good guys in this fight against Trump right now. That I believe that he is anyway. And I feel like, you know, not to deflect from what he said because he already apologized, but Donald Trump and his people that ran his real estate agent, they actually practiced racism.
Yes, they did.
They discriminated against black people in housing. To me, that is a much more egregious sin than saying any kind of word, you know, to me. And I think that let's not lose perspective about comedians and words and things that comedians are saying, because there seems to be this assault on comedians. And within the Kathy Griffin case, which I think you're going to bring up, there's a lot of overkill going on right now. Okay, she made a mistake, she did something stupid, she said she's sorry, and now they're piling on her like she's Charles Manson. Get over it.
Well, yeah, regardless of the offense, because that word to me, I could never utter it, because I do feel its power in the history, but I just keep saying this over and over, which is I feel like we're all one step away from being not saying that word, but I put my foot in my mouth a lot of times to know that everything I stand for and am as a human being and the way my heart, you know, faces the world, that in one word, in one misstep, in one bad joke, everything could be over. Like, I just feel like the punishment has to be in response
to say anything.
And people that come out and truly apologize, because I would argue that I had more sympathy for Kathy Griffin before her apology, but I do think that when Bill Maher says, you know what, that was dumb, that was stupid, it's wrong. It's not I believe that word should never be used. But I do think you have to let people own that and move on. I don't think they should go down for the rest of their lives. Everything's all about.
I actually understand your point about D2-ing it. I get that. I just don't. How do you do it though? Because here's the thing: when someone like Bill Maher, that may have been his version of doing that, and the backlash that comes at anyone that tries to take a word and not give it power, it's tough because there are people that get offended. I grew up feeling that word was wrong. I had friends that told me this offends me. Obviously never use it. For me, when I hear it, I hear a history of this country that makes me upset. So that's my interpretation of it. But when he said it, I didn't think that he was trying to offend.
Well, because
he
wasn't throwing it at
right. But how do you detooth a word if so much of the population
well, here's how you detooth it.
Tell me. I want to know.
I'm gonna. When you hear it, see who's doing it.
Yeah, consider the source.
If people are not doing what they were doing at your dad or my mother and her entire family, if they're not doing that and they're singing somebody's music, you say, oh, okay, I get it. You cannot continue to give the word the power, because if you do, it means that every time you hear it, you stop, and that's what you're dealing with. You're not dealing with the fact that somebody's a bonehead or someone is wrong and all they could do to stop you from telling them they're wrong is use the word to stop you in your tracks. I thought it was, I thought what somebody should have said was, well, it's about time you realize you won too.
Yeah.
Well, Ben Sass is not about to say that.
But
Doesn't it take someone, for me, like, I didn't live that historical experience. My family didn't live that pain. I feel like for me, to take on that word is a sign of disrespect. Whereas if you come from somewhere,
you better never read any of Tom Sawyer. Don't read Tom Sawyer out loud, because the word exists.
Yeah.
It did exist, and it was put out there to make you feel like less. I'm saying, let's detooth that. Make somebody work harder and figure out another word that might stop me.
There are 171,000 words in the English language.
That's
We
right.
can pick another one.
Yes. Pick another one. Pick a different one. Because that's not the one that's going to stop me. That's not the one that's going to stop me. Stupid will stop me faster than the, for your sake, the N word will.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh. Share this story if you think Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg are hypocrites. Yeah, I would say that. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.